Well, hello, hello, hello. It is Sarah Jane from Access Your True Nature. And just let me know if you can hear me. I had to take my pods out because they were not working very well. So I'm using the external mic today, and I want to talk holiday pause. So pause for thought and not turn times of Thanksgiving and Christmas into catastrophes, but into howling happiness for you and your animals. So I know it may be a little bit early. We don't celebrate Thanksgiving here, but just a couple of pointers that I wanted to just remind you of. If you've been in my tribe for a while, you know that there are a lot of hazards that are presented to our animals over the holidays and times like Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I want you to just be mindful of what you're putting into your home, from trees and Christmas decorations to overindulging your animal on tidbits off of the table. So just remember, a lot of times there's a lot of leftovers with holiday food, and you don't want to be giving your dog or your cat things like salmon skin or turkey skin that is very fatty, because it can cause pancreatitis and gastrointestinal issues. And of course, we really need to be very, very aware of things like chocolate, which will kill your cats and dogs, and things like coffee and alcohol, and the worst one that sort of crept into a lot of foods without us even knowing, because I can't even read the small print, is xylitol, which please, anything processed, keep it away from your animals. It could be in your stuffing mix that you're using in your turkey, or in some of the breads that you think may be healthier, but they're substituting sugars for xylitol or artificial sweeteners, which are a death sentence to your animals. So be aware. I always say, if it doesn't come straight out of the garden or straight from the farm, if you can't pronounce it, don't give it to your animals at any time, especially during the holidays. So just, if you're having guests over to your house, just remind them to please not feed your animals, and to rather do it yourself, because that way you can avoid a lot of stress and sick animals over the holidays. So things like that have yeast in them, like rising dough on countertops, can be irresistible to some animals, and it can also cause serious problems. So don't forget that your animals can also easily consume wrapped foods and gifts that are under the Christmas tree. So not only are the food items a problem, but the wrappers and the plastics are impossible to digest. So make sure your recycling is covered, and just be aware of what you're feeding your animals. Give them live food in moderation. If you're in cold climates, give your pets treats like a beautiful warming bone broth that you've cooked up from all the bones of the turkeys, or whatever it is that you're eating, that is so good for calming down inflammation. And if you're in the heat of summer like we are here, my dogs love frozen liver treats. So I'll make like a beautiful liver pate, and I'll put some ox heart and some different meat organs into my food processor, and I'll whiz it all out with some beautiful parsley and some greens like spinach, and then I put them into my ice trays and I freeze them, and I pop them out, and I give those to my dogs for treats. And even one of my cats loves that as well, just licking that. You can put ice in their water bottle as well, just to give them cool water. And another thing that I love to do is, if I have blueberries that are not as fresh as they used to be, or they're at a good price, I'll buy a whole bunch of them, and I'll put them in a bell jar, add some Manuka honey in there, and some beautiful pure water, and shake it all up and leave it on the windowsill to ferment. And that becomes one of the most amazing probiotics to give to all your animals. My cats don't particularly like them, but I'll put them, again, I'll just give them to my dogs as little treats, and they love the blueberries that are fermented. Or you could also make your little liver pate ice cubes and pop one of those fermented blueberries into the middle of it. Not only does it give them stimulation and something not good to do other than just chew, but to chunk on their little icy treats, but it gives them variety and enrichment in their lives and in what they're eating as well. So just watch out. I've got some notes here. So just watch out for, no chocolate, no xylitol, no onions, and just watch that you're disposing of any garbage that you have in a place that they can't get to the plastics that maybe have some of the drippings or blood in it still, that could be a little bit too tempting for them, and then they end up with plastic in their stomachs, causing issues there. Also remember, if you are, we are coming up to Christmas. We don't cut down living trees here. I don't think that was the point of it. I think to keep your trees living, decorate one on the outside perhaps. But if you do cut down a tree for Christmas, make sure that you have a guard or something around the water, because the water oftentimes can leach a lot of gum and a lot of resin into the water, and then your dogs come along and they drink that, and it can make them pretty sick. So watch out for the water, that your tree is sitting in. Make sure that you change it quite often so that your animals don't get sick. And if it is there, put some kind of protection around it so your animals can't get to that water and think it's great to drink, because it's not good for them. If you live in the cold as well, where there is a lot of salt around, in the snow or de-ices, make sure that you put some kind of wax protection on the base of your animals' pads if you're going out walking, and make sure that you rinse off anything where they may have been using de-ices. Absorption through the skin and through the pads is really fast and goes straight into the bloodstream. So be aware of that and make sure you're rinsing off any snow or de-icers out there. And if you're in the heat, like we are here walking your dogs, remember, if it's too hot for you to stand on, you're going to burn the pads of your dog's feet. So always test that out on your own bare feet before you decide that it's going to be a good time to go walk your dog, and rather wait until it's perhaps not hot. The tar is the worst. So go and take your animals to a park where there's grass that they can run on, and just be aware that they can very easily become dehydrated when it's hot like that. Make sure that they've always got good, clean running water. I like to put a little bit of Himalayan salt in mine, but just be careful that your animals don't overheat, or if you're in the hot weather like that, to just always make sure that you've got good moving air around your animals' beds, and that you're aerating their blankets as well. And just back to holiday plants as well, just be aware, many lilies are deadly to cats. Mistletoe, poinsettias, and holly are poisonous, and they can cause some gastrointestinal upset in your animals. I spoke about the Christmas tree water. A lot of times it can be filled with chemicals or bacteria, or that pine sap, which is very dangerous when it's ingested. And also, if you have a live tree, pine needles can also create little puncture holes in your pet's intestines if they're ingesting it. So be sure to put your Christmas tree in a corner and secure it to the wall so that your pets can't knock it over, especially if you have cats that just cannot resist things like tinsel and ribbons and balls on the trees. So be careful of the hooks as well, because they might be fun to play with. But they can, if your cat or your dog swallows that, they can again cause a lot of internal blockages or perforations that require costly surgery. And of course, broken glass ornaments can cut paws and mouths. So if your animals like to play with things on the tree or under the tree, decorate the lower third with a lot of unbreakable natural ornaments that are made of wood, and that aren't dangerous, or just leave it empty. I know it might look funny, but short of putting your Christmas tree in a cage, you really want to be aware that things like tinsel and that can also strangle your pets if they get tangled up in it. And the lights as well. You know, if you've got lights on your Christmas tree, make sure that your plug sockets are out of the way where they can't get themselves into trouble and, you know, strangle themselves with any wires or tinsel and cords. So, and also remember, never trim your tree with edible decorations like popcorn or cookies or candy. And always avoid sort of toxic decorations like snowflock or styrofoam, which are just big no-nos, and just not worth it, you know, to actually put your animals in a position where they could harm themselves. What else did I want to say about that? Oh yes, so burning candles as well. That the whole thing around curiosity killed the cat. Always make sure if you are burning scented candles, that they can be very dangerous to especially birds' respiratory systems and animals that are sensitive to that. If there's Teflon anywhere, chuck it. Rather, you know, use I've got a lovely water electric vapor, one of these. I don't know if you can, hang on, how do I get you to see that? That takes water and essential oils that are not harmful for my animals. So I prefer to scent my house with that. Burn so many of these candles these days, they're so toxic. It's the same as air fresheners and any of these sort of room fresheners and things like softeners, those softener pads that you dry your clothes with. Luckily, we dry our clothes out in the sunshine, but all that kind of thing are extremely toxic, not only for you, but for your animals as well. And of course, we always want to be mindful of EMFs and, you know, switching off the electromagnetic frequencies and your Wi-Fi in the house. And also, if you are burning unscented candles, leave them in a place that's inaccessible to your pets, because they could set themselves on fire, or they could tip over the candle and set the house on fire. So just, I think the best thing is mindfulness all the time. Batteries are another big no-no. You know, we all know that batteries that are left around from Christmas toys, especially those little watch batteries, or even the small little batteries, they may be fun because they roll, but they contain corrosives. There's battery acid in there, and if your animal happens to ingest it, they can cause a lot of mouth ulcers and intestinal issues in your animals. So there's a lot that we need to remember around times like Christmas where, and the holidays, where we have a lot of things that are not necessarily out all the time. And you just want to be careful, you know, set yourself out for a happy holidays where you're not going to be sitting in a vet emergency room because your animal has swallowed something or overeaten too much fatty food or the likes of that. And you know, we need to just be aware of all of these things, as well as looking at the stress of the holidays. And I'll go into this in more detail over the next coming of weeks as we sort of build up to Christmas. I've got a lot going on, so I thought while I have a quiet house with not a lot of noise, that I would just give you this little video on, you know, how you can really safe-proof your house and foolproof your house to keep your animals vital and happy and healthy. And of course, remember, you know, always have your 24-hour poison control hotline on your fridge or somewhere where you can see it. Or if you're going away and you have pet sitters or somebody coming to mind your animals, that they know where to find it. And I always love to have charcoal handy as a good way to take any poisons out of the body quickly while we're waiting for emergency vet care. So make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. And also remember, your animals do know way before you take the suitcases out that you're going to be going away. And if you have had animals that get a little bit of separation anxiety or that, communicate with them or hire an animal communicator to let them know that you're going out of town, and that you've got Mary or John coming to look after them, and they know them. And if they haven't met them before, make sure that you have a couple of visits before you leave home. They do know how to tell the time, so tell them when you're going to be back, so that they don't have to worry or sit waiting or pining for you or feel anxious because you're not with them. Tell them when you're going to be coming back. And also be very clear about what kind of caretaker you want for your animal. A lot of people get referrals from friends or pet sitters or their vets. So ask, for people that if you don't know them, that are going to come and look after your animals while you're away, feel them out, ask them lots of questions, have them over, see how your animals respond to them. They always say that dogs are brilliant at knowing who is a good person and who isn't. So it's always good to do a lot of this ahead of time so that your animals know what is going to happen, and give them the whole big story. Have them meet your animals, and make sure that you set them up for success as well by providing very clear, detailed instructions about how you want them to be fed, and if they're on any medications, when they need to do that, and give them support in that you have some go-to people that they can call if they're ever concerned about what's going on with your animals while you're away. Don't kind of just leave them and think that they can figure it out, because you want to be able to go away and have the peace of mind that your animals are going to be well cared for, and also that your pet sitter is going to feel safe and confident enough because you have set them up in a way that they know exactly what your animal's schedule is and what you expect of them. And also, make sure that you leave all their supplies in an easy to access a location. And if you do cook for your animals, cook ahead of time so that they don't run out of good home cooked slow food when you're gone, and always have a backup plan in place if they run out or the food spoils, so that you can really enjoy your time away, and that your animals can have a great experience with whoever's minding them when you're gone. And just remember too, that they pick up on our emotions. So if you get stressed out by the holidays and relations that you don't particularly like, and having to cook food when maybe you don't really want to, your animals are going to pick up on that as well. So maintain your practice to keep things as normal as possible. And you can always, stock up on some rescue remedy, and make sure that you mind your energy hygiene so that your animals don't have to take on your stress over the holidays, because that's not very kind to them. And be sure to tell your animal companions as well, if any visitors are going to be coming over, or if there's going to be noise in your neighborhood. And if you're going away, then make sure that, as I said, that you prepare that the people that are going to come in and caretake for them are set up for success, and that your animals also know when you're coming home. And just keep your schedule and their schedule as normal as you possibly can over the busy periods of the holidays, and sneak in a few extra walks if you can. It's also a great way to, if you're feeling it's time for your mother-in-law to go home and she's not going anywhere, that you take some extra walks with your animals and just connect to nature and diffuse any of the tenseness or the stress of the holidays. So those are just a couple of things that I wanted to remind you as we sort of enter into the holidays. I hope you found it helpful. And if there's anything else that you would like me to address about anything to keep your animals vital and healthy, please let me know. And also remember, we're starting the 5-day little boot camp where we're going to go back to some basics, and I'm going to address a lot of the common questions and concerns that animal lovers like you have asked me over the last couple of months and years. And we're just going to meet every day on Facebook Live over on my animal communication page to really, again, set you up for success and give you the confidence to know that you can talk to your animals and receive the information that they're giving you. And the benefits of being able to do that are beyond your wildest imagination. So I hope you join me over the next 5 days for that. Otherwise, stay posted and let me know how I can support you in a deeper way to just set yourself up for success, and to also just enjoy your life and the lessons that your animal companions have come to teach you. And I'll meet you there. Have a beautiful rest of the day wherever you are. All right. Lots of love. Bye.